Brother Elijah York had been raised a believer all his life and had been raised to believe there was a reason for everything. There was nothing that was a coincidence. Like when he had been approached to be one of the visiting pastors for the prison system after he had been found to be studying for his ordination certification after his divorce. He had been given the assignment of going to Oklahoma State Penitentiary, often called Big Mac by many of the guards and old-timers at the prison. Brother Eli, as he preferred to be called, held services on Sunday twice a month. He was amazed the turnout in the first and second Sundays he'd held services. Many had not liked the old pastor, and no one wanted to hear now they were going to hell for their sins. Many of those in Big Mac were lifers, and not a single one was in there for singing too loud in the choir, as his mother liked to say. York men, at least one out of each generation, were all holy men. It wasn't expected. It was a calling, and God seemed to always call somehow. The dream came to Brother Eli first. His younger brother Josiah was to be tapped for other things, greater things. His sister, Leela, was a lawyer with a powerful law firm in Tulsa. Brother Eli was also a chaplain occasionally for the Tulsa County Sheriff when they asked, and when Tulsa PD asked. It wasn't very often. The big man was asked to come and step in to help notify families, usually the ones with the roughest households. He had a gentleness about him that one might not expect for such a big man. It often conflicted with his duties in the water department until he got hurt one night. His right knee got blown out. Of course, his sister had to give him hell about that because he hadn't got to college like his younger brother and sister. But if he had, then there would be no one at home to take care of the family. Their dad had died young, too young. The Lord had called him home, and that was that. Now, he was in dispatch at night doing data entry when he was being asked to visit a family member. It was in dispatch where the sheriff found him when they rolled up outside the dispatch building at the West Yard. He was listening to some hard old-time rock in his earphones and typing away on another service order on a stack 3 miles high when the sheriff came walking in, hat in hand. When the sheriff came hat in hand, it was to ask him to do the one thing he hated to do the most. That was to notify a family member. He stood up and grabbed his stuff. Eli knew he wasn't coming back tonight. "What happened?" Eli asked the sheriff. "Got 3 families need you to speak with. I'll explain on the way out to Millbrook RV Park," the sheriff said. "Oil field workers," Eli sighed. It was as if he didn't have to guess. There had been some kind of accident at a pump site. "Blow out," the sheriff said when they were outside, out of the earshot of those nosy dispatchers. "Lord Jesus, pray for 'em," Eli said. "It's really bad, Brother York," the sheriff said. "Tell me what you can," Eli said. The sheriff told him about the pump site being on fire, and Brady was barely surviving the ordeal. He spoke of Alfonso making a full confession to the crime and of the vandalized office where they found all the evidence against Brady. If Brady survived, he had a lot to answer for as well. His manager was in custody as an accessory to his crimes. Of course, Eli couldn't talk about any of this to the families. He could only say there was an accident and that their loved ones died in the process. That there was criminal activity he couldn't talk about, and the sheriff would take over from there. The 3 families affected were all gathered in the laundry room of the RV park. Chairs had been gathered, and it was big enough to hold everyone. Penny had been asked by the families to come. She was someone they all knew and trusted. Penny was uneasy. She knew this was very bad and hoped it wasn't what she thought it was, a notification of the families. She grabbed a pocketful of smelling salts just in case anyone passed out. She knew it was going to be bad, whatever it was. The sheriff took one look at the group and turned white. He realized he could get mobbed by all these women the moment they realized why he was there. Brother Eli held his Bible tight in his grasp, his big fist tight around a leather-bound book. Penny felt the power roll off of him, gentle and loving. He loved and cared for humanity, even if he seemed like he wanted to run from it. She recognized him from his trips to the clinic over at the city. She nodded to him reassuringly and smiled weakly. She knew what she feared was about to happen. "No, no, no," one of the women began. Penny put her arms around her and began to coo softly. "Perhaps a prayer, Brother Eli," Penny suggested. "Thank you, sister," Eli said, stepping into his pastoral voice. With it came a touch of love and power that spread over the room. The women gathered around the woman whom had started to cry. She was sobbing softly. Together they cried softly as they realized they had all lost their husbands. They were all in a sea of grief as Brother Eli wrapped his big arms around the group. Suddenly he was engulfed in crying women. The love poured out of him as the praise continued to sing from his throat. When it was over, he sat in a chair, holding hands and crying with them. The sheriff had never seen anything like it. Gently he cut in and began to explain why he was there and asked a few questions. That was when he found out about Elizabeth talking about being watched by Brady. Her mother said they would make a full statement, leaving Penny out of it somehow. Penny frowned at how that had happened, but said nothing. It was Alfonso's wife who was surprised to find out her husband was alive and in the hospital wing of David M. Moss Jail. It was used by city and county authorities for all prisoners. She wasn't surprised he'd made a full confession. She knew at this point she wasn't supposed to talk to the sheriff any longer. She excused herself and called the lawyer the guys all used. They didn't trust a company and had gone in on a lawyer a long time ago and kept him on retainer in Tulsa. The women gathered around the sheriff to ask him about remains and funerals and the nature of those kinds of things. Eli walked over to Penny. "Thank you for your help," he said. "You're welcome," Penny said. She was watching the sheriff trying to decide when would be appropriate to save him. "I know you from the clinic at the city," he said. "Yes, and I'm glad it was you. I can't think of anyone more loving," she said, looking up at him with a warm smile. "We should talk sometime." "Yes, come by my place tomorrow morning. Right now, I have funerals to help sort out," she said. "Yes, ma'am," he said. Penny walked over with a grim look on her face and rescued the sheriff from the women with what information they could get about their deceased loved ones.